Lesson 16.2, Task 2. Model with polynomials. The profit of any business is the difference between its revenue and its cost. If the revenue and the cost for a business are each represented by a polynomial, then the profit for the business is the difference of the two polynomials. All right, so again, the profit equals your revenue minus your cost. So let's say you are baking pies to sell, and you bake an apple pie and you sell it for $20, okay? $20 is your revenue, and it costs you $5 for the ingredients to make that apple pie. So it would be 20 minus 5, your profit would be $15, and that doesn't account for your time, but that's just a basic example of what we're talking about here. All right, so millions of screen protectors or handheld electronic devices are produced and sold each year. A company that produces screen protectors has a revenue in dollars given by the polynomial 15x minus 0.00001x squared, where x is the number of screen protectors produced and sold. The cost in dollars of producing x screen protectors is 300,000 plus 2x plus 0.000097x squared. Determine the polynomial representing the profit from producing and selling x screen protectors. Then use the polynomial to calculate the profit for producing and selling 400,000 screen protectors. Okay. So we know that the equation profit equals revenue minus cost. So all we're going to do is take the information that was given. They took this right here. They took the expressions and they plugged it in right here with the formula. All right, so they went through several steps here. I'm going to show you a little bit easier, hopefully, way to do this. So you've got the revenue minus the cost. Remember, this would be in parentheses because this negative is subtracting all the cost. You have to subtract all the cost in order to get that. So think about that. Even though it doesn't show up in parentheses, we talked about what the parentheses means earlier. So the parentheses means you have to distribute that negative to each term in this polynomial. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's do plus, minus, and then distribute the negative here. So I'm going to change this to a minus, and then I'm going to distribute the negative to here, and this becomes negative as well. All right, so the reason I made this a plus is because I distributed the negative, so now all I'm doing is combining like terms. All right, so now to do that, I'm going to see that I have a x squared here, and I have an x squared here. So I'm going to use my calculator to combine those x squared terms together. All I have to do is combine the number. I don't have to worry about the variable. Remember, the variable stays the same. So I'm just looking at the coefficients. So I've got negative 0.0000, 4 zeros. And then I'm going to have minus, because I changed that to plus a minus. So minus, so I'm going to subtract point, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it's very important that you get the right number of zeros, because if you don't, you will have the wrong number. All right, so when you see this E in your calculator here, so I've got negative 1.97e to the negative 5th power. So that's in scientific notation. So when you see negative 1.97e to the negative 5, that's the same thing as negative point, and this means I moved my decimal 5 places to the left. All right, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 197. All right, so this is equivalent to this, and you can see down here where they've written this, but your calculator only has so many spots available. So when the number gets so large, especially with the lots of zeros there, it will tend to write it in scientific notation. So just remember that e to the -5 just represents negative 1.97 times 10 to the -5th power. Just means move the decimal 5 places over. So you can see it went from 1, it went from here, because it was here, right? It was right here after the 1. So it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I moved 5 decimal places, and these two numbers are equivalent. Those two are equal. All right, now I'm done with the x squared term. So what I need to do is just take that, added those coefficients together, and I combine that and put an x squared. Now what's my next terms I need to combine? I've got a 15x and a -2x. So you should be able to do this without a calculator, but if you do 15 minus 2, you're going to see that that is 13x, and that is right here. And then you have minus 300,000. There is nothing to combine that with. That's the only number, and so that is here. So I kind of skipped the steps where they were using commutative and associative property to move those around. The first thing they did was use distributive property to get rid of that parentheses that I told you was assumed to be there. And then they put the x squareds beside of each other, and then they put the x's beside of each other, and the number at the end. So they did that so that they could group these together, again using your properties. But if you will make sure that you distribute that negative, hopefully you can just look at the equations and be able to combine like terms. If not, please go through the process to do these steps. All right, let me get rid of some of these marks on here. All right, it says what property was used to remove the parentheses when obtaining the expression shown? All right, so to get rid of that parentheses, we had to use distributive property because we distributed the -1 or the negative sign there. So that would be distributive property. And then it says, why is it useful to write the terms in the third step in the order shown? So why did they group the x squareds together, the x's together, and the number together? Well, because when the x squareds are together, it's just easier to combine like terms. And so they just use commutative property there to pull out the numbers and combine those. Again, that's not something I'm going to require you to do, but if that is helpful as you're getting started with this, especially with these large numbers, well, these are very small numbers, but lots of digits in the number, it'll just be more helpful. All right, so it says the profit in dollars from producing and selling X screen protectors is represented by the polynomial given. So this was when we combined like terms, that was it. Now it wanted us to find the profit when selling 400,000 screen protectors. Evaluate the polynomial when X is 400,000. All right, so I have an x squared and I have an x. Remember, you have to do exponents before you multiply. So order of operations, if you plug this in your calculator exactly how it's written here, it should give you the answer. But if you do it step by step, make sure you do 400,000 squared times this number, and then plus this times this, and then minus 300,000. But again, if you type this in your TI-84 exactly as it's written, it should tell you if we sell 400,000 screen protectors, your profit would be $1,748,000. All right, now it says, how could you calculate the profit from selling 400,000 screen protectors in a different way? All right, so that was after we combined like terms and we plugged it all in at one time. If you wanted to do it a different way, you could plug it in here and find how much it is for the revenue, and then you could plug it in here and find out what the cost is, and then you could do the revenue minus the cost, and that would be another way to find your profit. All right, that's all for task 2. If you have any questions, let me know.